Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
I know you're a busy lady. You were in college and all that stuff. And
I am indeed.
Just finished a show. You're doing a lot of performing and stuff.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your time. But
Of course.
I just want you to introduce yourself and tell me, you can brag a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Emily Paxman. I am 18 years old. I grew up in American Fork, Utah, and I am currently a freshman at Brigham Young University. And I am in the music, dance, theater major at BYU, which is something that I've always loved. I did that all growing up pretty much. I've always been performing, dancing, and singing and things like that. But I wasn't exactly sure that I wanted to do music, dance, theater. I didn't know if I wanted to pursue theater past high school. I was never 100% sure about it. But coming up on my senior year, I thought I'll just audition and, and see what happens. And if I don't get in, that means God doesn't want me there, right? And then I got in. So I was like, okay, then I'll just give this a shot. And I'm so lucky to be there. It's a difficult program to get in, and there's so many talented people in that program.
Especially girls.
It is unreal.
That's difficult.
Yeah. So I'm really, really lucky. But I'm serving a mission this fall. I'm going to take 2 years off of school to go on a mission.
Nice.
And we'll see what I do with my education when I get back, because I do love performing, but I'm also super interested in family life, which is what you're studying. Woohoo.
Yeah, my favorite.
And I'm currently a family life minor on top of music, dance, theater, but we'll see if the scales tip when I get home. I don't know.
Right. I remember you wrote a paper about family. Was it for a class in high school?
Are you talking about my motherhood speech?
Yeah. What was that for? It was
for my AP Lang class, my senior year. We just had to write a speech, and I really liked that class because we were able to kind of write whatever we were passionate about. We were taught various types of writing and different structures of essays, but we could choose the topics. So she just had us write whatever we wanted, Yeah. And so I wrote a speech on motherhood. I wrote a 10-page paper on the issue of menstrual taboo around the world. And then my last paper of the year, I wrote about K-pop, because that's something I'm passionate about. So.
Korean pop. I remember now.
Yeah.
I did not know what it was when you told me a while ago.
Yeah. So it was fun.
That's fun. And you sing like an angel.
Oh, thank you.
Next time we should do a singing show.
Ha.
Oh, you sing so beautifully. And I think I met you, what year was that? It
was my sophomore year.
10th grade, right? Because we went to, I think I was helping.
With Les Mis.
Yeah. To set up the backstage, the stage, or I can remember we were building the set.
Yeah, it was the set build for Les Mis, our sophomore year. And I remember you were there, and you were the only parent there, and you were being so helpful, and everyone was like, oh, it's Fletcher's mom, and then you were like, I'm gonna take you guys out to lunch, whoever wants to come. And I was like, I'll come. And then no one else came. It was just me, you, and Grant. And I was like, at that point, I wasn't really friends with Grant at all, and I thought he was too cool for me. And so I was like, maybe after this, maybe we'll be friends, And I remember at the lunch, I think that you and I talked a bunch, and we got along fine. And then I was like, mate, now that I'm kind of friends with his mom, maybe he'll talk to me more. Nope. Nope. Not even a little bit. But later, I talked to him about that encounter, and he was like, I was so scared of you. I thought the exact opposite. Anyways, so.
So funny, but. You ended up dating?
Yeah, we ended up dating our senior year.
Really good friends.
That's how we know each other.
Right.
Yep, and just got close to the family, and I just love your whole family. Obviously, I like Grant a lot, but
he's your favorite of the family.
Yeah, but yeah.
That's so fun. So what roles did you play in high school? Because I was so amazed. I was so amazed at the kinds of roles you played.
I actually didn't get a lot of roles in high school. I was in ensemble a lot, which was a huge blessing. It was a good learning experience for me. Yeah. My junior year, I got to be in the one act. You know how Grant did his one act senior year. Junior year, that was me. Yeah. It was a 2-woman show, and it was super, super cool. It was a show called Collected Stories about a woman and her assistant, kind of. This woman was like a professor of English, and she was a writer. And then her assistant wants to like also be a writer, so she's kind of an apprentice of sorts.
Oh, fun.
And the older woman gets sick and is dying, and the younger woman ends up kind of stealing her stories to like make her writing debut.
Yeah.
So it's about like plagiarism, kind of, and also about like this mother-daughter, like teacher-apprentice relationship. And Darcy played
Darcy.
the older woman, and she was incredible. Like,
she's amazing.
she just was so good at playing a dying 70-year-old woman at age 18. Yes. And we didn't use like age makeup or anything. And the judges were like, I was just so impressed. You embodied that like older spirit so well on stage. Yeah. That was probably my biggest thing in high school. I would have had Secret Garden.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
We talked about that last month.
Yeah, our senior year, our last spring musical was going to be Secret Garden. And I was cast as Mary, I was super excited because it was kind of my first like real lead, and it was like a musical. Yeah. And it was my last show senior year.
And you were playing with Grant?
Yeah, and then Grant was Archibald. He was like the uncle. So that was really fun and cool. And then Channing was the brother, too. So, like, all three of us were in it. Anyways, it was going to be such a fun show. And then COVID happened right when we had gotten to the point where we were starting to do full run-throughs. Mm-hmm. We hadn't yet, like, costumed it, but we had kind of tried on costumes a little bit. And we had, like, blocked the whole show, and then everything shut down. So.
And but in the summer you played
the
lead with Grant a couple of times.
So I do have I have two friends who work on this summer theater company together. They put it together. The one who started it, he went to Lone Peak, and he started this theater foundation when he was like a sophomore in high school. And it was for Shakespeare. He wanted to just put on Shakespeare shows with his friends because Shakespeare is free to produce. Mm-hmm. There's no copyright or anything. Mm-hmm. So he started doing these summer shows every year. And the first year he did 2 shows, and I didn't know about it then. I wasn't in that. The second year he did Midsummer Night's Dream. And that's when one of my best friends at the time, Hannah Neimer, she kind of joined on she co-directed it with him. So she was like, you need to do this.
I love that show.
So summer after my sophomore year, I was Hermia in Midsummer Night's Dream. Then the next year after that, they did The Tempest. And that's when we started to get more of the AF kids. And Grant was in that one.
Yeah. When you're like the love interest?
Yeah, yeah.
But you weren't dating? Because you were dating the director.
I was dating Zach at the time. Yeah. It was super funny. So Grant did get cast as Ferdinand, and I was Miranda. Mm-hmm. And they were lovers. In the Tempest, she grew up on this abandoned island with her father. It was played by a woman in our show, by her mother. Yeah. And then he was a prince of this kingdom, and then their ship gets washed up on the island, and they fall in love. And anyway, so it was funny because we dated in that show, and then we get married at the end of that show.
I remember that wedding. It was so cute.
Yeah.
And the honeymoon was funny because you were playing chess.
We were playing chess. Yeah. And then the summer after that, Grant and I were dating because we started dating right around when COVID hit and towards the end of Secret Garden and everything. Yeah. And then they decided to put on a musical instead of Shakespeare this year because all of the seniors had missed out on their spring musicals. Right. Lone Peak was doing Hello, Dolly, and they were just heartbroken, and we were all just so bummed that we were missing out on this. So they decided this year we're just going to cast seniors. We're just going to cast the graduating class of 2020, and we're going to have them do a musical so that they can kind of have their last hurrah. So we put on Into the Woods, and it was such a fun show. Grant was the baker, and I played the baker's wife.
It was great.
And it was so cute. It was
the
so
wedding
fun.
Pictures.
Yeah.
And the bellies.
Oh, yeah. So we get married in The Tempest, and then in Into the Woods, we're already married, and then we have a baby. So it was it just progressed.
So you already lived that life.
Yeah.
Right? You made Grant. You even had his kid.
Yeah, we've been through it already. It's no big deal.
You get chased by people in the play.
Yeah, but Into the Woods is such a fun show, especially because there's not really an ensemble to the show. Yeah. Everyone has a part, and some of the smaller parts they play multiple parts. Yeah. And it was just getting to do that kind of show where everyone is involved and everyone contributes, and just with some of my best friends from American Fork and Lone Peak High School.
Well, it's a good ending to that senior year.
It really was, and I'm really, really grateful for it. And it actually, we were able to donate the proceeds to a COVID-19 relief fund.
Wow.
Because every year they choose a different foundation to donate funds to, because Zach and Hannah wanted it to be a nonprofit. So it was really cool because it was a musical. It cost more money to put on, but we also made more money. We were able to charge more money for tickets, and we were able to donate quite a bit to.
And we were outside in a park. So it was completely COVID friendly. Have your mask.
Yeah, everyone could sit far away from each other and bring blankets and chairs and everything.
So you probably didn't notice this because you were in the play acting, but there were fireflies.
Really?
I've never seen fireflies in Utah. So I'm sitting there. It was the most magical thing. Here's the last show my kid is going to be in.
Yeah.
At least in high school. And he's off on his mission.
Yeah.
And he's playing this role with his favorite girl. Our favorite girl, right? And it was so emotional. I'm just sitting on the grass. And there's all these little lights, just like fairy lights. And at first I thought it was something to do with the play. Because like I said, I don't usually see those in Utah. It was the coolest thing.
I have never, I didn't notice. I've never seen fireflies that I know of. That's so interesting.
Something. There must have been fireflies. There was some kind of really pretty bug just flying around.
But yeah, it was so pretty. I remember because it was outside, like when it got dark for the second act, the crickets were so loud.
Yes.
But it
made it real.
But it was cool because like the witch would be singing like, it's the last midnight, and then like the wind would blow, like it was like all blustery, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was perfect.
So real. And we had trees and stuff.
It was so good.
Let's just sing the rest of the show. I had Joey here, I had Channing here.
I know.
You're the first one to even sing one note. I'm like, yes.
We can just put on a production.
I love it.
Just for you.
You have the most beautiful voice. And I miss not having a theater kid right now. Because Rachel is
I know.
She does a lot of sports. But so we wanted to talk about acceptance. And I intentionally really, really wanted to have a conversation, especially to benefit my two girls. I am, for the first time, the mother of two teenage girls. Mm-hmm. I have 8 sons.
I do.
You know them well. And they're difficult in their own way, but I've never had the girl thing. Mm-hmm. And how hard it's been to watch how difficult it is for girls to accept themselves.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I know that both of my girls look up to you as somebody that is friendly and confident, and you accept yourself and you love who you are, and I think that shows so much that I thought, oh, you'd be the perfect guest to talk about this.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I'll just sit here and you tell me, what would you say to my girls? What would you say to the girls out there or the women? I have plenty of 50-year-old women friends that still don't like each other, and they still, they don't like each other, but they don't like themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is something that I have struggled with, just like everybody else. I think everyone struggles with acceptance, boys and girls, but I agree there is more pressure for women, especially because of, beauty standards. There's just a little bit more pressure, I think, on the girls. Like you said, I am very confident, and I'm very loud, and I'm very
fun.
I'm very forward and honest, and it used to be a lot worse, like in a negative way. Like I think growing up, I don't think I was very nice. Like when I was little, I think like in elementary school, I was probably not very nice. And I know that I was very bossy. Like I was very aggressive, which I don't know. That probably didn't come off as a good thing when I was little. But I remember like junior high is when I started to notice that like people had negative opinions of me because I was so bossy, and I was so loud, and I was so willing to sing all the time. So I heard people call me a show-off or a know-it-all and a teacher's pet, like all of those things. And that was something that I knew was a part of me. In elementary school, I was just shameless about it, and I just always knew the answer, and that's just how it was. Yep. And by the time I started to get to junior high, I started to hear like, oh, she said she hates you because you're a know-it-all. And I was like, what?
Oh.
I didn't realize that people cared,
Yeah, they didn't
And
notice.
I think like being in choir and theater and things, like even in junior high, I was always singing. Like every solo in choir, I would go audition, and I would just do everything that I could because I just was so eager. Like I was just chomping at the bit. I just always wanted to put myself out there.
Yeah.
And I got so angry. I was so angry in junior high because I was like, that's not fair. Like, there's a difference between confidence and cockiness. And I'm confident. And like, yeah, I'm sure that that's true. But I also know that there are times that I am cocky and I am a bit selfish and prideful, and that's something that I've recognized is just in my nature because of the way that I am. I've had to kind of come to terms with that. And in ninth grade, I remember I was just upset. Like, I just thought, if people don't like me, I'm not going to like them. I'm just going to hate all the people.
Just close up.
So, like, the popular girls who were so pretty and who thought I talked too much, I was just like, oh, I hate them. They're the worst, you know? And then I remember the year before my sophomore year, the summer before, I was going into this new school. And granted, it was mostly the same because the same kids go from AF junior to AF high. But I thought, new teachers at least, like some new faces, and maybe I can have somewhat of a new start for myself, at least a little bit. And I tried to examine myself and say, like, what can I do to be less aggressive? And I remember thinking, I just need to, like, not answer so much in class. I talk too much. Like, I can't tell you how many times in my life I've been that student who the teacher says, let's have someone else have a turn. Let's have this girl answer instead because you've said a lot today.
I have that problem. So that's why I carry my journal so I don't have to say too much. I write it down.
That's a good idea. I should do that. But like, I don't know. I think I had good intentions. I was trying to kind of balance myself. But that kind of became destructive as well. I remember I had a U.S. history class where I was just having a bad day and I said something and the teacher said, like, let's have someone else answer. Let's have someone else have a turn. And I just beat myself down. Like, in my head, I was just like, shut up. Like, why do you keep talking? Why can you not just keep your mouth shut? I don't understand why I just like have to say something every time. And so I really started getting down on myself, and I kind of had to find a balance. It's still something I struggle with sometimes. But I'd like to think every time I've kind of gone up in school that it's gotten better. I think in high school, I kind of had to work through it, and I became more okay with the fact that I don't need to dislike people if they dislike me.
Right.
I can be loving to everybody, and if they dislike me, that's not really my problem, as long as I'm being true to myself. So I've tried to learn to kind of hold my tongue sometimes, but also not to be afraid to speak up when I really have something to say.
Right.
And I think now that I'm in college, I mean, I've only been at BYU for almost 2 semesters now, so not a very long time, but I think I am a little bit more refined now. I'm a little bit quieter, which is a good thing sometimes, in moderation,
Yes.
And that's really just my struggle. Not everyone is going to struggle with being too loud. Some people, it's the complete opposite. Some people are too shy, or they are, I don't know, too nice, or they're kind of a doormat or whatever.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to have their own things that they struggle with.
Like the personality things that are not natural in each of us.
Yeah. And I have a hard time just like not always being the one to answer, not always being the one to take charge. And that's going to be something that I always struggle with, because humility is a really important thing that I've really had to work for. And I really am so grateful for the improvements that I've made, because I think really the biggest thing is loving others. Right. Like, as I've shied away from the negative attitude of they don't like me, so I'm not going to like them. I've learned that it's okay. You can love everybody and you can be kind to everybody. And I still catch myself like thinking about girls that I was jealous of growing up, or like if they ever come up, like I still catch myself being gossipy or negative towards these girls just because they were prettier than me in 6th grade, And I'm like, no, I'm sure that they're a good person, They have their own struggles, they have their own issues, and I'm sure they're doing their best in their life, and there's no reason why I should dislike them. And so it's been it's been interesting. I think a lot of my self-acceptance also has to do with my relationship with accepting others, if that makes sense.
Oh, I like that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Something that Grant said to me that I had never really thought about, but he told me that I'm very good at reading a room. He said, like, I'm super socially apt, where, like, I can just be with any group of people, any type of person, and make them feel comfortable by, like, kind of tuning myself to that person, which I had never really known that I had that skill. But I like that about myself. I like that I can get along with most people, you know, from different backgrounds, because I do come from a specific background. I grew up as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm from a upper middle class family. I'm white. I don't know, like I'm privileged. And there are a lot of people that I've had growing up, I've had interactions with that aren't the same. And some of my very best friends aren't members of the church, or don't believe the same things as me, or, you know, have had totally different life experiences. And I think it's important to be proud of who you are and not change yourself to match up with other people, not lose what you are personally. But also it's okay to say, this is how I am. I'm just going to, like, set that aside for a second so that I can talk to you. Although we're different, it doesn't matter.
I like that. That's really clever. To just really be able to use your life to also lift other people, and then your confidence probably goes up. You can definitely read a room. There are very few girls that can walk into my house on a Sunday night with everybody eating dinner there. You remember that, 20 people, and like 12 of them are males, tall, handsome, intimidating, very loud voices.
Yeah.
So it takes a mouse showing up to my house would be terrified. And you're so confident, you're so much fun, that it's fun to see how you interact with that group. Because in that moment, having had all those experiences of being confident, moments like that are powerful, because you can walk into any room. So you can be the next president, you can be a senator. We went to the Capitol that one year.
Yeah, we did.
And that was fun, you're completely comfortable with all the senators and all these big deal people, just eating lunch with them.
And that's a great example of people who have differing beliefs. That was a political event. People were talking about political issues, and I agreed with some of them and I disagreed with others. But that didn't necessarily mean that I couldn't just go and talk to people and accept that they have different beliefs than me, or different ideas of what would be best for our children, for our future, for our government, those kinds of things.
For the laws in the state. So that was really a fun moment for me to see you in that kind of group. Because I think you and Grant were the youngest in the group. Yeah. And you're completely confident. You're just like, nobody would have thought, what are those kids doing here? It was, sometimes I think our own strengths are the ones that scare us the most and make us feel inadequate. Yeah. Because that's a strength. Anybody would count it as a strength, but you're right. If we don't tame it down, like sometimes the light is too bright and it bothers people, but it's finding a way to have the light without turning it off completely. Yeah. So how about something like body image? You're so confident. I love your style. You have your own style, and I love your Converse, your red Converse.
Oh, thank you.
They are the cutest. Yeah. I think you're wearing them today.
I'm wearing black Converse today.
Ah, okay. Because I bought my red one.
Have a huge hole in them. Like the rubber, split apart.
Finally got.
I'm really sad. I only wear them if my outfit really needs them. Otherwise, I got my black Converse for Christmas, and I just got 2 new pairs of Vans. So nice. I'm pretty. I
bought my red ones for graduation.
Oh yeah.
So I can remember when. Your kind of weird COVID graduation so I can match you and Grant.
Yeah, because me and Grant both wore them. On 4th of July and on for senior things, we both wore our matching Converse, and Channing has them too. Yeah, so I had to wear mine. You had to put some on. We're talking about fashion style, and I love how you are very attractive and very charming, and still modest, and still confident in your body, which is something that is very difficult. I mean, see my girls struggling, both of them struggling with body image and figuring out how much to eat, how much not to eat, and what to wear, and how modest and immodest to be. And it would be nice if those
programs weren't real, but they are.
Yeah.
There are plenty of girls that have really high standards, but they feel like they have to fit in to whatever the TikTok thing is with the tank top and the tiny shorts, you know?
Right.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, again, something that most girls struggle with. I don't know if anyone hasn't.
Even old women like me.
Yeah.
We struggle with it.
Yeah, I believe it. But yeah, that's something that I have kind of gone on a journey with, I think, throughout my life. I don't know, when I was a dancer, I grew up dancing at a studio, and I remember my mom was like, you can decide what you want to wear to dance. I'm not going to restrict that for you. Because at first I was like, oh, I have to be modest. Like, I have to wear T-shirts all the time. And it was just like too hot, you know? Yeah. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to start wearing tank tops to dance, but I'm not going to wear them outside of dance. And so that was a decision that I made. And then, you know, when it comes to swimsuits, as I got older, a lot of girls, like a lot of my friends, a lot of girls my age were wearing bikinis, and that's fine. You know, like people have different standards for modesty, and that's perfectly okay. For me, it was just figuring out what I felt most comfortable in. Right. And I like started wearing high-waisted bikinis because I thought that was cute, and I felt like that was modest enough for me. And so that's a decision that I made and I felt happy with. Right. And I mean, I don't know that will like be this forever standard for me, like, but I'm kind of in a place right now where I feel like, yeah, I can wear that, and that's modest for me under my own personal standards. Yeah.
Yourself at 13 years old. What a beautiful thing. Yeah. And I think that's the first thing that I was so impressed with you, because most teenage girls don't think about, I mean, maybe they think about it, but they don't talk about, oh, motherhood is the thing I want to do. Yeah. Because we all really believe in education. Obviously you do. You're a great student. You did a great job in high school. You're in college and you have all those big plans. But it's fun to me that you still make room for thinking and planning on motherhood. Because that's a big eternal thing. When Rachel was born, and my first daughter, right, it was the strangest feeling. I held that baby, and you hold your baby, and you it's the first time you meet the baby, right? Even though it's been with you. Yeah. And I started to cry, not so much because she was the first girl, but I was like, someday you're gonna have to do this. You get to have a baby in you. What a privilege and what a difficult thing. Yeah. It was the strangest feeling to tell a newborn in my head, because I didn't say that out loud.
That's so interesting that you like jumped that far ahead.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, because the other boys, they were great, but they don't have to go through that. It's a huge sacrifice. It's very difficult, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Like, who can make life, right? Yeah. That's seriously crazy. So, what other thoughts do you have about about acceptance?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this earlier. There are different standards of modesty in all kinds of cultures and religions and things like that. I was getting lunch with a friend of mine from when I was part of the Distinguished Young Women program. Nice. My junior year, I went to state, and I met this incredible girl, so accomplished. She wants to be a neuroscientist. She's incredible. Yeah. And she is Indian. And she is a member of like a Hindu faith. I'm not entirely sure exactly what her religion entails, but she's very passionate about it. And I thought that was so awesome. So cool. And it was refreshing. So cool because I'm super passionate about my religion, and it was really interesting that she was also that way. And even though we had those differences, I became really good friends with her. We still keep in touch. And I was getting lunch with her, and she was talking about how just like we in our church, sometimes people leave our faith, and it's sad to kind of see them go when it's something that we believe in. And she said that she's had similar experiences where in her religion, you're not supposed to cut your hair. And so when she had friends that she grew up with kind of left and fell off of the religion, they went off to college and they cut their hair. Wow. And that was so sad for her. Wow. And I think it's so interesting because there's so much about physical appearance, like hair or piercings or jewelry or tattoos, whatever, like those kinds of things that are very like performative, I guess, like how you present yourself, that there are so many fashions and trends and fads and whatever in the world. And it's very easy to be like, oh, but I really think like it's so cute. I just want to look this way. It's so cute. Right. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to want to look cute and look presentable. But I think it is sad when people sacrifice their standards and their beliefs for a worldly image. And I think, as you know, in our religion, as you go further along and as you get older, you make certain promises that require an even higher standard of modesty.
Right.
And I will be doing that this year because I'm going on a mission this fall.
Oh, great.
And I've kind of come to terms with that, like that I'm going to be making that sacrifice. And like, it's hard. Like, it's going to be difficult. I'm going to have to kind of adjust the things that I wear, but I'm so excited. Like, I've realized that even though it's not something that I would have necessarily chosen for myself if it weren't for those standards, like, I'm excited for it because it's making a sacrifice. It's showing that I'm willing to sacrifice, like, wanting to wear this clothing item. Right. You know, I'm willing to sacrifice this and that and the other because these are just worldly things, because I believe that this is worth something more. And whether or not you make those promises in your lifetime and whether or not you're a part of our faith, that's fine. But I think it's so important to figure out your own personal standards and stick to them and love your body for what it is and value your body for what it is and protect it and take care of it and treat it like it's sacred, because it is. I think it's the most incredible gift, and the fact that women can create bodies is just insane. I mean, obviously we need a little help. It's not like we can do it by ourselves, but yeah.
We do most of the work.
Right. We do most of the work. As Into the Woods says, it might take two of us to get this child.
That's a good line.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I think, you know, in junior high, I think it was 9th grade that I decided that I was going to stop wearing makeup, which, I mean, it's not like the biggest deal in the world. Like, I'm just used to it now. Like, I just don't.
It's not a religious thing. It's just that
was just something that I decided to do. Yeah. And I think so many girls are like, if they wear makeup every day, then they're like, oh, I look gross without makeup. Well, it's just because you're not used to it. Right. Like, if you don't wear makeup every day, then you're used to seeing yourself like that and you just look normal without makeup. And it's the same for everyone else too. Like, if I don't wear makeup every day, everyone else is used to how I look without it and they won't notice a difference. And I just think it's so good for women to be comfortable with both. It's totally okay if you want to wear makeup every day, but you should also be comfortable with yourself without it so that you can choose and you don't feel like weighed down by this societal pressure that you have to wear makeup every single day. And it's fun because if I want to wear makeup, or if I have to wear makeup for a performance, or if I want to just like get dressed up or something, then I can, and it's like a little extra, but it's not a requirement, you know? I guess I know we're running out of time, but I think the most important thing that I've learned recently about self-acceptance is, like, I think especially in dating, because I've been going on lots of first dates and dating different people and college and the dating scene, and it's fun. Not really, but it's
stressful.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But something I realized is I want to just be entirely myself on the first date. Because if someone doesn't like me for how I am on the first date, why would they like me on the 5th date when I finally decide to tell them that thing about me that I was hiding before, you know?
You can fake it for so long.
Yeah, like people always say like, oh, don't go swimming on the first date, or like, don't do this. Like, don't tell them, like, don't let them see you too fast, you know? I think that's stupid. Like,
I agree with you.
I love who I am, and I love that I'm a dork about certain things, and I, you know, like, I like K-pop, and that's like seen as weird by some people, and I love Twilight, and like
marathon last night.
Yeah, I had a Twilight marathon yesterday. It was awesome. Like, I love these things about myself. I'm passionate about these things, and I'm not ashamed of those things, even if some people will disagree with the things that I love and the things that I believe in. That's okay, because I love me exactly how I am, and so I'm going to show these people these things, and if they don't want to be a part of my life because they disagree or they don't like that, that's fine. I don't need everyone to like me. And if I'm being authentically myself, the people who stick around do truly love me for who I am. And that way you find people who are interested in the same things as you, and they get excited that you're willing to be yourself, and it makes other people feel comfortable to where they can be themselves too. And so I think overall my biggest advice is, you know, find the things that you're good at and be proud of those things. And especially as I've moved out go to college. I'm not living with my parents anymore. And I've realized I only have myself to deal with. I only have myself to live with. And when I make a decision, I'm the one who deals with the consequences.
Right.
So why not create the life that I'm going to be happy with because I'm the one doing it? Mm-hmm. There's no reason why I shouldn't act in ways that make me happy. Right. I just need to have the self-control and the self-motivation to do that. Yeah. And so I think that's the biggest thing, especially as girls are growing up and going out on their own and making their own decisions. It's so important to be happy with what you are and be willing to be honest with who you are and create a life that you love and create a version of yourself that you love.
Wow. This is like a whole course on true womanhood. I mean, I'm sure it applies to men too, but I'm so grateful you could come. And you can share so openly because I have felt that from you from the beginning. Now, from that first time we went to lunch, I think Costa Vida, whatever we went.
It was, what is it called?
Cafe Rio.
No. It was, I can't think of it.
Life.
No, it was Mexican. I just can't think of it.
That's funny.
Lauren worked there in high school. Oh man, I can't remember.
I just remember eating Mexican food and I just met you that one time. And then 2 years later or something, you were at my house and Grant was, and I'm like, that's the same girl. Yeah. The same girl that we could talk completely openly. I felt we're 40 years apart or whatever long apart, and I completely felt comfortable talking to you. You felt comfortable talking to me because most of the time, like teenagers are like, "This is so awkward."
Like my boyfriend's mom. Yeah, I'm so stressed.
Weird. So now I'm grateful that you could share so much because it is so important to just love who you are and appreciate yourself without being self-centered, without being selfish, which is like you've been trying to learn not to be overpowering and everything, but you do great because everybody loves you. Everybody I know. Everybody in my book.
Well, it's not always been that way, but I'm really working towards it. And I think that's another really important key is that you should love yourself and you should accept yourself, but that doesn't mean you should settle. You still need to say, there are things that I don't love about myself. There are things that I could be better. Sometimes I'm prideful. Sometimes I'm too loud. Sometimes I'm bossy. You know, I need to work on that because I want to be seen as a kind person first. I want people to see me and be like, wow, she's so nice.
Yeah, we like that.
Because that's not something that I felt like I ever was growing up. You know, I had lots of friends who were just angels. Like they were just the nicest. And I felt like you think of that girl and you think, she is so nice. Yeah. And you think of me and you think, oh, she's really loud, you know?
You've survived junior high school.
And it's okay. It's okay for me to be loud. But I think it's a very important balance to find where you love yourself, but you love yourself enough to create something better for yourself and hold yourself to the highest standard.
Oh, you're great. I am so excited to see what happens in the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And can't wait to see where you go on a mission.
Yeah,
I'm after so your mission, come visit us and
of course
go to Guatemala with me.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Emily. Have a great day. Have a great semester.
Thank you.
16 credits. How many? A bunch of credits. Yeah. Good luck.
I'm almost done. Only have like a month left.
Yes. So. Thanks. See you again.
Yeah. See ya.